Hello. In this video I'm going to talk about this live case, what's good about it and what I don't like about it. I've been experimenting as ever with building little live systems for modular performance, trying to make a system that is like really simple, fun to play, and has all the kinds of things that I would actually want to like perform with, and to do so in a way that's like improvisational and fun for me, and mainly that's not too complicated. Because it's so easy to make life difficult for yourself, and the thing that I'm trying to find is what is the absolute simplest arrangement of elements that I have enough to have fun with. And this is a sort of prototypical case, because I wanted to do a video about the Bohm, the ohm force Bohm, this kick module. And so I put together this case kind of for the Bohm, but it's been an opportunity to like test things. The other thing is the Disting NT, which is this amazing multifunction module, and I've been able to use the Disting NT in a way that is really, it's interesting. The other thing is this Synth sample drum, which is creating rave stabs, and it's a technique that I've borrowed from a fantastic producer called Engineer, and I'll talk about that and more. In all, this video is just going to be a kind of hangout, like you're sat next to me and I'm just going to tell you about what's good and what's not good about this case. What do I like? What could be better? What will I change? Let's find out. Okay, so basically, what is this case? So this case is a live performance system, and I have in it two voices, and I have a Synth sample drum, which has two sets of sounds it can make at any one time from a bank of samples. And I have this Bohm kick module, which does sidechaining and other things. I made a big demo of the Bohm itself, so maybe you'll watch that, but I'll talk a bit about it. The SoundHack Mimeophone is the only effect, a delay. And then I also have this LPZW Elster hi-hat module. And that's it. And by the way, the voices are the Knobula Monumatic and a micro Braids and an A1116. So what's good? What's good is this idea of just using Turing machines through a quantizer as your, pitch source. This is a very old thing that I'm doing for ages, and it's based on this notion that I just don't want to have 19 sliders to interact with. I just want one thing. And I want to just be able to push a button or like turn a dial and have a new sequence happen when I want something to change. And what just is happening? What's happening here? How am I doing this? So I'm doing the sequencing with the Disting NT. The Disting NT is this like multifunction module that can create like any number of things. And what I have here, if you let me get through the menu, mate, I am still learning this thing. I have a clock source, which is the master clock source in here, and I have what's called the shift register randoms. I have two of them, a quantizer and a Euclidean pattern, which I'll talk about in a sec. And basically, the shift register random is a Turing machine. Turing machine is the thing that makes looping voltages. You probably know this. And what I have to control it is a load of DC offsets. I have 4 in this abstract data thing, and I have a couple in this Goma module. And all they're doing is creating a voltage, a fixed voltage when I turn them. And I use them to basically create performance knobs. And so I have the two voices, the 116 and the Braids and the Monumatic in a mixer here. And the knobs that control whether the sequence is locked or not are these two here. This top one's the Monumatic. If I turn it down, it unlocks. If I turn it up, it locks. Then I can apply effects to that. And then the other thing that I've given myself, what I've tried to do, and what doesn't really work yet, is what I'm really lacking here is the ability of decoupled gates. and sequences. It's the thing I've done before, and I really miss it. I do want it. I want the ability to be able to add steps independently of changing the sequence. Because at the moment, I have the shift register triggering the voice, and so that means when I change the melody, it also changes the gate pattern. And I don't want that. I want it so that I can also have more steps happening. And so what I did was I created a Euclidean patterns, and I had it so that when you turn this up, look, if you can see, you would see that it's filling up. And from this output, number one, suddenly more outputs, so more steps happen. But it doesn't really work. It's not working how I want. Really, I just want like more 16ths to happen, but it's kind of shorter. I haven't delved into this a huge amount. And there's a reason for that, which I will explain in a bit when we talk about what the future of this case is. But that was my idea. I think it probably can be done. If you're a Disting NT aficionado, you can probably tell me. But I'm working up to like making a demo of the Disting NT, so you're kind of catching me in a moment where I still haven't worked out the ways of doing the things that I want with this. But it is very powerful. It can do loads. In fact, it could generate all the sounds as well, you know, if it wanted to. But it works well enough, you know, at least, you know, being able to kind of go that. The ability to just very quickly twist the dial and get a new riff. And then you go. The question is, should you have more than two voices? And I know folks who play with many more than two, but hey ho. Anyway, so this is what we're doing. So we've got Turing machines created by the Disting NT. We control them with these knobs. There's two of them, that's nice. I have a third one here, a real one, and that's because I have this other thing. And so what is this? This is the Erica Synth sample drum. The sample drum is a sample playback module that has two sort of channels. Channel 1 here, which is being CD modulated by that Turing machine. Channel 2, which isn't being CD modulated. And what it is you have the ability to basically have a bank of samples. If I go to library, look in here, we can see that I've loaded up 64 rave stabs. And what I just did then was turn down the CD output on the Turing machine. If I turn it up, what it's doing to this CD input is it's changing the sample. And then I'm triggering it independently from the Euclidean circles. So this means by just changing the Turing machine's lock or changing the scale knob, I suddenly get this kind of wonderful, like Daft Punky sample collage happening, which, to be clear, I completely stole from Engineer, the modular performer, who I'll link below. So this is an example of why it's really important to be able to trigger things independently of the pitch. And interestingly, I'm doing a bit of a hacky thing, which is that I'm sending outputs 1 and 2, and I'm summing them into the input here. In the way that you're not supposed to use stacking cables to sum. I mean, Stevie-O says you're okay to do it for gates. So that's what we're doing here. And this gives us this independent control. The ability to have two compounded little riffs going in to control the stabby sample. That's quite nice. I really like that. The other thing about the sample drum is that you can tune it. And I can turn this dial to change the sample. And I can shorten it. Whoops. Hey, and this is why you need to practice, my friend. Yeah, it's a little bit disconcerting. There's a mute button. I'll talk about this in a sec, but anyway, you get the idea. I can flip this on and get a more complicated rave stab. Yeah. Yeah. So I like having these independent, like, two sequences controlling it. And interestingly, one of them is this Euclidean circles V2 trick where you can actually manually program the steps. It's nice, but here's the truth, folks. I think I do need to be like Colin Benders and have the circadian rhythms, because I just want to see all the steps right there in front of me, and I want there to be one maneuver for me to reach out and press them. And because this is abstracted and in a circle, I can't see the patterns in the way that I could see a pattern if it was on an XOX grid. Does that make sense? So it's really like, I want to reach out and do the thing in one maneuver. The least amount of input possible is really important. Okay, so we have Euclidean circles to trigger this. Oh, and by the way, there is another sound, which is on channel 2. You flip this switch down and you've got another sound. And I've got some percussion, like, snarey things, not like brilliant samples, but I just wanted to have something in here to try this. And this is actually coming into the return channel on this hex inverter mutant hot glue. So what is this? How am I triggering the kicks and the hi-hats? Because this is another input method to Euclidean circles. And since we were talking about the circadian rhythms, we should talk about this. So this is called an Iris 1. And the Iris 1 is an 8-step trigger sequencer. And the idea is that you flip the 8 switches and you flip them to the right. And if you flip them all the way to the right, then the step is always on whenever it is triggered. Okay? Right? But there is a middle position. And if I hit the middle position, what happens is this step is now probabilistically chosen, depending on the dial at the bottom. Do you hear that? So now there's a 50% chance that when that step is reached, that it might play a note. So the idea of the Iris 1 is it's a mixture of probabilistic, bless me, probabilistic, and also deterministic. You choose whether a step is on or off, or you can have a middle position that's the possible step. The other thing that he added is if you hold down the mute button, you can turn this dial and you can restrict the step length from anything from 1 to sort of 8, of course. So we can have like, oh, that's a bit fast, isn't it? Let's try this. And then I can do the hi-hats, right? If I turn them up. And then I can adjust this one and make it a bit less as well. No, they're exactly the same. Like that. And I can have probabilistic steps here too. So it's cool. By the way, these two are linked around the back. There is a sync cable that can synchronize too, so that they only need to receive one set of clocks to trigger both. The ability to have probabilistic steps is really, really nice, especially with this, like, you know, number 7 kick here, like this kind of, oh, sorry, number 8, to have this kind of like occasional kind of little like, there, you hear it. To have that happen occasionally is really, really nice. But I can't escape through Euclidean circles, this method, you know, this, like, for me, grids is like a perfect solution. Because I don't have anything to control, I just turn a dial. But then the other one that's perfect is circadian rhythms. Just being able to see the things there, I do think is very powerful. It's very easy for me to reach out and go tap, tap, tap it's a little bit harder to do tap, tap, tap on this in my situation, which is like absolute seat of the pants, minimum zero like brain overhead, live like improvisation, completely seat of the pants. Yeah. The other thing, what should we talk about? Oh, is this Elster? That's a very cool thing, which is this hat module, Elster, made by my friend Kay from LPZW. And is a vibey techno hats generator. Mojo. And then it has 3 sounds. So, you know, if you want a techno, you don't need more than that, do you, mate? You don't need more than that. Just the length. See me trying to like find the offbeat hi-hats. I'm just so used to XOX style things. It has this swap control, which swaps the hat in the bottom position. And then for the crash, it makes it reverse. And for the ride symbol, it reverses too. And you can change the range to make it like ludicrously high. I'm enjoying this module. What I like about it is its ability to do like really short, like closed hi-hats, and then to sort of go to open in terms of what feels like an open hi-hat, i.e. to go from short to long in a really pronounced way is nice. And to have like 3 different flavors of hat. It's actually 4, isn't it? So what about this kick? So as I said, I've made a big demo of Bohm. Ohm4 sent me a Bohm, hired me to make a demo, and that demo says everything you need to know about this thing, but I'll just explain it very quickly because it is really good. I am going to try and to use Bohm in my next iteration because it's good. Basically what the Bohm does is it's a fierce kick drum. It has 9 modes, like 9 different modes. Oof. From like FM stuff to wavetable things with like kind of the ability to change the wavetable that the body is made from and the transient is made from. And it just does this like brutal big room 4 AM techno thing. The other thing that it has is side chaining, which is very important. You hear that? Without, with. That's too much. You hear that what's happening is the kick is cutting out everything else, so the kick just absolutely cuts through. You can like dial that back. The other thing is it adds this DJ effect, the stereo high pass on everything, which I think is absolutely critical. It's such a useful tool for making improvised music make sense to an audience. These kind of cues, cheesy though they may be in some ways, deployed carefully, like they do communicate things, they do tell people something's about to happen, and help you like approximate structure that is very hard to do when you're like completely seat of the pantsing. The other thing it does is it has a sort of ghost kick and like techno rumble thing. You hear this? And there's a filter to control that. You can change the pitch of things. And there's 2, 3, 4 control the contour, the shape of the rushing up reverb sort of sound. If you listen carefully, you can hear it's now got this kind of like push-pull sort of vibe to it. Whoom, whoom, whoom. That. I mean, that, yeah. As I said in the other video, and it's true, although this is big, I mean, look how big it is. If you can see, this is like a quarter of the case almost is taken up with this. But I really don't see how I would approximate what this does with a smaller set of things. Like, you could have samples, that's definitely true. But to have like side chaining, the DJ thing, and like the rumble would take like delays, reverbs, and other bits and bobs. Like, it's interesting. And you obviously don't need to use like the groove. These are optional expanders, so you can kind of take them out if you don't want them, or just get the kick and just the side chaining thing if that's what you want. The Iris, by the way, has its own mutes, as you see here. So, yeah, the voices. So there's the A116 I've done a video on. This is like Doepfer's like little mini voice. And it's like, it's good. It's quite acid. It's not very like ballsy and sort of like, I mean, it's... And then it has a balance control, and what I'm doing here is I'm blending to the micro braids, which I really, really like braids. I've kind of come back to it for its like immediacy, and it's just sort of, there's just something about it. It's really direct. It's got a really like, I don't know how to describe it. It's very plain speaking. And the other thing is, it's just a lot faster to change things. On plats, you have to like tap, 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 tap. Here you can just squid the dial, like turn it really fast. Big screen, I know I'm on fold. And if I learn fold, I'll know where, you know, at a glance, where we're at with it. The idea is you could blend between these two things, or you can bounce between them. I mean, the 116 it's small, isn't it? And that's not ideal. But as you may or may not be able to see, I have very little space in here. The idea of having a digital voice, I think, is critical. I want all my voices to be digital because I want the flexibility and breadth that a digital voice can offer. I want the ability to very quickly change the sound, have like this whole other palette. We need like the broadest amount of sound that we can get out of them. And then the other voice is this Knobula Monumatic. And the Monumatic's like big thing is it's polyphonic, which is really cool and weird. Turning up the attack so that that kick kicks through more. I could turn up the ducking. I think the Monumatic does a good job of sounding like an analog kind of trad analog synth. It has like these different modes that you choose with here. And the thing I have to say about the Monumatic is that what I don't see is the same sort of breadth as you would get in a micro braids by turning this dial. The modes are all different. And through this little dial, the detune dial, we can move them through sort of various sort of tunings. But if I turn down the reverb, delay, what you hear is that basically the Monumatic is designed around this idea of like being a sort of more trad synth, like more trad poly sounds, trad organ sounds, trad string synth sounds, and designed to also have a MIDI keyboard connected to it, so you can literally play it polyphonically. Here I'm playing it monophonically, but I'm allowing its tails to like run into one another, which is still really cool. There's a filter with resonance. And there's different modes, like phaser vowel. Very cool. So I think it's really cool. I'm not sure that it's maybe the right voice for what I want to do. Like, I really do like the idea of having some string stuff and like, but I've got to trigger it with a Turing machine. I can't be playing a keyboard in a set. It's just not in my skill set. So I wonder if I might swap it out for something that's just like, you know, Platts, another more broad voice. And my request might be like, if, you know, Jason feels like it, is do like a weird like B firmware where there's just the most bonkers selection of things with this dial. Really, really, really different sounding things to sort of approximate the kind of breadth that you would get from something like the Braids. Hopefully you get the idea. But there's a lot of variation in Braids. But it's like, I just want to change it, and just being able to get something that sounds wildly different, Braids does it. I think these are maybe a bit too similar in their tonality, so in this instance, for this type of application, I've not got the breadth that I necessarily would like to have. But we can do this sort of weird, crazy, like fairground vibe. Weird, isn't it? Then you change the sequence, bring it back down, you like try and take it in a different direction. I am happy as a whole with like the kind of what this is shaping up to. I really like this kick module. I'm really enjoying Braids. I'm enjoying the Turing machine aspect. I do enjoy having Mimeophone. I kind of wish I had a second effect like a reverb, just trad reverb as well. Proper sends and stuff, but I've got to like, you know, work on a space limited aspect. By the way, I'm using ripples to filter the stabs. I wish I had an envelope as well. I could probably generate one with the Disting NT. In fact, I definitely could. And I do feel I should probably mention the Disting NT as our final little thing here. Yeah. So the Disting NT basically does everything. Does it all, don't need the rest of this, which is sort of true. Like the Disting NT basically is the sort of final, you know, end game disting with like a screen and the ability to basically create any number of algorithms. I say any number within the limits of the CPU that is in there, but that CPU is capable of a lot. Like you can have something in the region of like 14 plats being generated by this. I think that's right, might be 12. It's a lot. And if you come in here, you can choose an algorithm and there's this massive list of different things from like effects, you know, polysynths, sample-based things. I could basically do what I'm doing with the Erica synths with this. I could be generating a Platts and sort of replace the micro braids with this. But I think we're getting to a point where we may be slightly limited by the I/O in the sense that it has, I believe it is 8 outputs as a maximum, 6 on the unit, and then 2 more are available with the expander. I believe that's correct. So 8 outputs. Of course, if you use the Disting NT to like mix and sum your voices, then perhaps you could, only have a stereo pair and you could sum all of the voices and stuff, but blah, blah, blah. Basically, I like the idea of having discrete voices that I can actually see and grab immediately. And that's been my main thing with this, is wanting to add control, which is a thing that you can do. And you do it by going into like the shift register random. And so I'm now in shift register random. And then I come into this menu. I go to mappings, CV mappings, and then I can choose any of the parameters of the shift register random, including unrandomness, which is their name for the locking thing. And you may or may not be able to see that I have it set to input 1. And then what I do is I just send a DC offset, and that then controls it. So you can add using all these inputs, and there are 12. So effectively you could add 12 knobs to this and use those to control the digital voices and all of this like sequencer generation and stuff that you could create with it. So me not being able to get quite the same control method that I wanted out of this is not a slight on the Disting NT, it's just I'm early in my explorations with this and I'm asking it to do things and I might be doing it in the wrong way. I'm having to work quickly, I want to make a video of the Bohm and that's really my focus. But I should talk about the kind of next stage with this, because basically, for me this is also a really good opportunity to just like try something out, trial ways of working, actually build it and play it, and then butt up against the problems that I have. I have the luxury of doing that because I've got lots of modules kicking around, so I can actually try these things. And that's also why I'm making this video, is to like openly share the thought process. But yeah, in short, my next thing is going to be the Demand mit der Maschine DROID. So I've had the DROID for a while and I made a video of it. I want to try and use the DROID as the kind of Turing machine gridsy hybrid that could be the sequencer that I'm trying to create here, that I'm kind of trialing a little bit here. And so basically the next step is going to be eviscerate this and take the bits that I want to use and then transplant them into my other Damaru case that's deeper, and then try and build a similarly fun thing with elements that I like from this, but using the DROID as its system. And I'm choosing the DROID. The fact is the DROID can actually become different things. So I've got a kind of thing in my head that's like a Turing machine with a grids, and I can basically build that in the DROID. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. There is another way. I should mention this because you may or may not realize this, that there is a video, if I find it, I will link it below. And basically, a guy has made his own patterns and loaded them into the grids. What I'm trying to say here is, so in grids, grids is like it's this module that produces snare, kick, and hi-hat patterns from its 3 dials. And you can turn it up and get more snares, turn it down, get less snares, right? Okay, we know this. But that's the problem, is it's designed for kicks, snares, and hi-hats. Those are the sort of rhythms that it is generating. I don't want those sorts of rhythms because I'm using it for bass lines and for lead lines and for, other things, other rave stabs. So I want bass line patterns, rave stab patterns, and the kinds of patterns which are different to kick, snare, hat. So the problem is that programming it, but there is a person who has come up with a way to reprogram the patterns and grids and put his own ones into it. And so I bought the little programmer. You need to buy this like 20 quid AVR programmer thing, whatever it is. And that basically talks to the grids, use his little interface, web interface, and you build your own pattern library. I think it'd be really interesting to do that with grids because you could do it. You'd end up with 3 like customized sets of patterns. I very much like that idea. But of course, the other way of doing it is that you actually just give yourself immediate hands-on control. And I think like definitely the circadian rhythms is kind of the boss of that, in the sense that I don't know another module other than the Doepfer A1, whatever it is. The Doepfer's like big, massive grid module where you've just got all the steps laid out, where they're just in front of you. So you can just pop them in and then change them on the fly and mute things on the module as well. What I am returning to is just I just want I want things to be as immediate as possible. But I have also decided to like space constrain myself, which is real, like, that's hard. I still have my bigger case. I've still got my like performer case that's like whatever it is, like 96 HP 12U. So I still have that. I could build a bigger system again, but I just want to. I'm inspired basically people like this guy engineer who is doing a very similar thing in a very similar amount of space. I want something, for me personally, I want something that's got like these stabs and acid bass lines. It should sound more fun and like I don't want to make like 4 a.m. techno necessarily. It would be nice if that's an option. That certainly is with this. But like I want to make stuff that's more like, you know, a bit more like Daft Punk in 1997. That would be my dream. Wouldn't that be cool? Because that's just like, that's different. That's what I want to hear. My version of that, anyway, can never be what they did in 97, because that's very crafted as well. Like, I'm not sure I can do it on the fly, but, you know, never say never. So that's that. This is a case that's about to be disassembled, but we learn things from it, don't we? I hope this was useful to some of you at least. If you've got questions, please ask them, but sit tight. We're going to do another video on a live case soon. I have a Patreon if you want to support me. Links below. Thanks very much, mate.